people of Burkina Faso and all of Africa. As today, we are not here only to celebrate cinema. We are here to reclaim the power of our own stories. FESPACO is not just a festival. It is the voice of our continent, the mirror of our struggle, our pride, and our hope. Every scene on that screen, every word in those films carries the heartbeat of Africa. Cry told by those who live it. For too long, others have spoken for us, and when they do not tell the truth. We know. Here, in this place, with our filmmakers, our artists, and our storytellers, we take back that voice. We stand before the world and say, we are proud, we are strong, and we will speak for ourselves. We have faced difficult years, also bitter years of threats, of hardship, of sacrifice. Yet we stand, and today Burkina Faso shows the world that our strength is not only in arms, but in our minds, our hearts, and in the richness of our culture. I call on every filmmaker, every artist, every dreamer in this hall, use your camera to defend the truth. Use your art to inspire hope, tell our story with pride. Let the world see an Africa that is unbreakable, creative, and free. FESPACO is our light. And together, we will carry this light forward so that generations to come will remember that there was a time when Africa stood tall and told its story to the world without fear. Thank you.
As Captain Ibrahim Traore reminded us, FESPACO is far more than cinema. It is proof that culture is a nation's strength. Up next, we meet the filmmakers who have taken his call to heart and turned it into powerful stories for the world to see. Dawn breaks over Ouagadougou. From the window of a small hotel on the corner of Kadiogo Street, I can already hear drums in the distance, urgent, pulsing, full of life. On the streets below, street vendors begin to set up. A coffee seller roasts beans right there on the sidewalk, the rich aroma mixing with thin strands of smoke drifting into the morning air. A group of school children in matching uniforms run past, laughing before disappearing around a corner. Today is the opening day of FESPACO, the Pan-African Film and Television Festival of Ouagadougou. The city feels like it's holding its biggest celebration of the year. From the earliest hours, people are streaming toward the city center. Women wear brilliantly patterned boubou, their headscarves catching the sunlight. Men in traditional tunics carry drums, horns, and bells. On the walls, movie posters hang side by side, announcing films from Mali, Senegal, South Africa, Ethiopia, and of course, Burkina Faso. The road leading to the central square is packed. Market stalls overflow with handmade goods, ebony bracelets, leather satchels, woven scarves. The smell of skewered meat roasting over charcoal mingles with the dust of the road and the faint scent of wildflowers. People walk and snack, taking photos, browsing souvenirs. Elderly men sit at a cafe on the corner, leaning on canes, their eyes fixed on the stage where the opening ceremony will soon take place. By 9 a.m., the central square is full. A traditional orchestra begins to play classic African melodies, djembe drums blending with the bright tones of the kora. The crowd claps along, swaying, singing to familiar tunes. International guests are here as well. Journalists, directors, producers, actors. All are waiting for one moment, the Ibrahim Traoré speech. When the music stops, the air changes. A hush falls over the square. From the back of the stage, Captain Ibrahim Traoré steps into view. His olive-green uniform fits perfectly. His red beret tilted slightly, his gaze sweeping over thousands of faces. He stands tall, hands gripping the microphone. Then his voice rings out, deep, clear, unwavering. People of Burkina Faso and all of Africa, today we are not here only to celebrate cinema. We are here to reclaim the power of our own stories. The entire square is silent. You can hear the flag snapping in the wind, the click of cameras. He continues, "For decades, the story of Africa has been told by those who do not live here, who do not know us, who cannot feel our pain or our pride. They color it. They change it. They erase the parts that matter most. But today, at FESPACO, we declare, if we do not tell our own story, others will tell it, and they will not tell it true. Every line of the Ibrahim Traoré speech feels like it cuts straight to the heart. He does not avoid the hardships. We have endured years of instability, poverty, division, violence, and yet we still stand, because the strength of Burkina Faso does not lie only in our weapons, but in our minds, our hearts, and the richness of our culture. When he ends with, "Tell our story with pride, so the world will see an Africa that is unbreakable, creative, and free," the applause explodes. People leap to their feet, shouting, raising cameras high to capture the moment. The rest of the morning is carried on a wave of emotion. Nearby cinemas open their doors, welcoming crowds to the first screenings. At a cafe just outside, a group of young people talk excitedly about the speech. One says, "I've never heard anyone speak about cinema as a weapon to defend identity." Another replies, "After today, I feel like I have to do something." At midday, I meet Adama, a young filmmaker who just finished a documentary about farmers fighting climate change. He tells me he almost gave up due to lack of funding, but after hearing the Ibrahim Traoré speech on the radio months ago, he decided to push on. "If I don't tell this story, who will?" Adama says, his eyes steady with resolve. In the afternoon, Mariam, a veteran female director, hosts the premiere of her new film. It captures the life and role of Burkinabe women in preserving cultural identity. During the Q&A after the screening, she says, "When the president said we should tell our story with pride, I thought immediately of the women around me. They are the story." As the sun dips low, the square comes alive again. A giant outdoor screen is set up for the evening screening. Hundreds spread mats, set out plastic chairs, prepare snacks. Children run between groups, adults chat, foreign visitors take photos. When the film begins, the crowd falls silent, save for the hum of the projector and the soft whisper of the night wind. The movie, a collaboration between Burkinabe and Ivorian directors, tells the story of a friendship surviving the divide of war. In the final scene, the two friends reunite in a bustling market. The audience breaks into long applause. Someone nearby begins to cry. Others embrace. No one wants to leave just yet. Night falls, but the city stays bright. Cafes and restaurants are still full. Conversations about films, about culture, about the Ibrahim Traoré speech drift through the streets. On one corner, a street band mixes traditional and modern rhythms, and tourists and locals dance together. The opening day ends, but the feeling lingers. That speech was not just a way to open FESPACO. It planted a responsibility in everyone's heart, to protect, to tell, and to share their own story. And as I leave the square, the drums are still beating in the night, like a promise that tomorrow and many days after, this story will go on. If the morning of FESPACO is about the explosion of emotion on stage, the afternoon and evening reveal another world, where untold stories become the soul of the festival. Behind the opening ceremony stage, the atmosphere is no less intense. The backstage area is like a giant beehive, with technicians rushing past, radios in hand, stage crew adjusting microphones, rehanging the massive backdrop, and groups of artists rehearsing one last time. A young Nigerian director checks a short clip that will be shown later in the program, smiling at a colleague. Today, it's not only the audience here, the whole world will hear us. In another corner, international journalists gather in clusters, exchanging quick notes, testing their cameras. A French reporter who specializes in African culture tells me, "The Ibrahim Traoré speech this morning was truly powerful. It wasn't a polite greeting. It felt like a political and cultural manifesto." Beside him, a Brazilian journalist nods. "I think that speech will be on evening news broadcasts in many countries." Leaving the stage area, I step into a small room where young filmmakers are taking part in a closed discussion. Today's topic: cinema as a tool for protecting collective memory. A director from Mali stands and says, "We don't just make films. We record the memory of our people. If we remain silent, that memory will disappear." The room goes quiet for a few seconds before breaking into applause. Some quietly repeat the line from this morning's Ibrahim Traoré speech. If we do not tell our own story, others will tell it, and they will not tell it true. By late afternoon, I wander into the FESPACO cultural market, where stalls line the pathways, overflowing with handmade crafts. A woodcarver is carefully chiseling a plaque, speaking without looking up. I've been part of FESPACO for 20 years, but I've never seen people talk about our culture this much. Maybe it's because of that speech. He gestures toward the square, where thousands had chanted the president's name earlier that day. Nearby, a group of German tourists chat with a local film producer. They ask about the origins of the traditional costumes in the films, about how outdoor scenes are shot. When the conversation turns to the speech, a young woman in the group says, "I didn't understand every word, but I felt the energy. Sometimes language doesn't matter." As the last sunlight fades, the mood changes again. The central square glows with lights. Outdoor cafe tables are packed. Laughter mixes with live music from a small street band. They play traditional songs alongside jazz, reggae, and famous African film soundtracks. Tonight, the main cinema hosts the much-anticipated premiere of a feature film. The line outside stretches down the block. I find myself next to two sisters from Ghana, both film students. They tell me they've been saving for a year just to be here. "We came not only to watch films," one says, pressing a hand to her chest, "but to feel what he spoke about this morning. That's why we're here." When the film begins, the room falls into deep silence. The screen's light washes over attentive faces. Quiet laughter comes during the humorous moments, then stillness again when the story touches the shared wounds of a continent. Leaving the cinema, the night air carries the scent of food from street vendors. I pass a group of young people discussing the film they just saw. One says, "This morning's speech and this film, they're like two pieces of the same puzzle. One is the call, the other is the answer." As the clock approaches midnight, Ouagadougou is still awake. From far away, drums echo again, blending with singing voices. I realize that here, music, cinema, and the words from the Ibrahim Traoré speech have merged into one symphony, not just for one day, but for the future. Ouagadougou is at its most beautiful at night. The streets around the square glow with warm golden light, reflecting off the cobblestones. Footsteps blend with the beat of drums and the distant notes of the kora. I turn into a small alley where a group of stage technicians sit resting after a long day. They pass a bottle of water between them, laughing about minor glitches during the opening. A spotlight that went out mid-performance, a microphone that nearly slipped from its stand. But one of them speaks slowly. No matter the technical errors, I feel like I was part of something bigger. When he said, "We must tell our story," I knew I was doing the right thing. I make my way back toward the center. At a small roadside cafe, several international journalists are broadcasting live. Their cameras face the street, with streams of people passing behind them. An Italian reporter tells me that after airing a short clip from the Ibrahim Traoré speech about the right to tell our own story, their online viewership doubled in just a few hours. Messages are coming from everywhere, the US, Europe, South America, saying they want to know more about FESPACO and Burkina Faso. He smiles. In the square, a group of young people are running an impromptu film screening. A small projector sits on a wooden table, the screen nothing more than a white cloth stretched between two lampposts. They play short films, most of them student work. A young woman in the group says, "We don't have a big cinema, but we have our stories." And as he said, we will tell them. Close to midnight, an open-air performance begins. Dancers in vibrant costumes move to the rhythm of drums and cheers. The audience forms tight circles, locals and visitors alike. Arms are raised high, phones recording every step. A visitor from Canada turns to me and says, "I've never seen a place where cinema, music, and politics blend together like this." Then comes the day's closing moment. Not an official ceremony, but the kind of ending Burkina Faso loves, with music, light, and community. On the main stage, a band combines traditional instruments with a modern drum set, creating rhythms that are both ancient and fresh. Voices rise, without microphones, without invitations. Everyone joins in. As the first fireworks burst over the Ouagadougou sky, I remember the opening line of the Ibrahim Traore speech. Today, we are not here only to celebrate cinema. We are here to reclaim the power of our own stories. That sentence is no longer just the call of one man. It has become the shared voice of thousands. When I leave the square, the drums still echo into the distance. I know tomorrow will begin with the same beat. But the difference is, everyone here, from artists and technicians to journalists and spectators, will take home a piece of this story, and they will tell it, in every way they can. Because FESPACO is not just a film festival. It is a reminder that in this world, no one has the right to take away your voice. And as Ibrahim Traoré said, if we do not tell our own story, others will tell it, and they will not tell it true.